Marcellus, I'll start with you.
Yes, sir.
Is Baker's emotional approach sustainable?
Yes, it is sustainable. It's not optimal, but it's sustainable. You got to remember the NFL, hey, man, it's 60 minutes. Dr. David Banner used to take up most of the damn show, and then all of a sudden you wait to the end. Can't do it like that in the NFL. I understand at the collegiate level you will have greater results because you're going against lesser talent collectively. You get to NFL level, that levels off. And what happens then is, what are you made of mentally? And as I'm right now bordered by a Hall of Famer who can talk about going to that next level, just to have consistent excellence, to have greatness, you got to deal with a little more than wait to get triggered, to get that proverbial 10% that people speak of. So Baker Mayfield, it's hard for him to self-reflect right now. Who's going to argue with his results? I walked on twice. I won the Heisman. I'm #1 overall pick, and my team is now in first place. Like, this is the moment that I need to figure out Incredible Hulk from David Banner. I don't think this is the moment, especially based on where his team is right now.
Well, I'll jump on in. I'll first say, what was the name of the show that Dr. Banner was on? What was the name of that show?
Incredible Hulk.
Okay. Mr. Banner is not the superstar of the show. The Hulk is.
Lou Ferrigno.
And that was and that was sustainable all the way till now with the Avengers, because they still use the Hulk in the Avengers and all kinds of other movies, right?
Yes, sir.
Of course it's sustainable. And the reality of it is any high achieving, high competition, wired competitor is going to have to find the emotions that get them up for what it is that they're going to do. I've never seen anybody go out there and compete at an optimal level where their emotions did not have some type of drive connected to what their achievement was going to be. I can recall for me, I used
a middle linebacker. Go ahead.
That's fine, but you still have to have cerebral approach to what it is that you're doing, but for you to be able to get yourself pumped up day in and day out to be able to compete, I used to create conflict with the other team.
Middle linebacker.
That's fair. That's fair. But I still think it could be Hall of Fame. It could be Pro Bowl. It could be All Pro. You're going to connect something to an emotional, let's say, a piece of energy in yourself to tap into to try to get through that workout, through that practice, through that game. So I think it has to be emotions attached to what it is if you're going to achieve at a high level.
I think there's no other way to do it, as far as I'm concerned. There's no other way to do it. Everybody I've ever talked to, every book I've ever read on this subject of excellence, you have to work yourself up into that frenzy, but then control it.
Yeah, control
and that's what Michael Jordan and Tom Brady, like you said in the essay. But that's what before games, especially when things got going, I remember before football games, I wasn't getting nervous anymore. I wasn't getting scared. I was going out there. I wasn't enjoying myself. And this is like at the peak of my career. So what I started doing is started writing a little letter to myself, talking about making stuff up in my head. Like, they're doubting you today. They're thinking you're old. At the end of my career, they don't think you have what it takes anymore. They're starting to think you're slow. You play this game with your mind. You have to, and it takes you there. Where the hell was it before, though, with Baker? Why does it take someone like Rex Ryan? Stay there. We just saw what you can do now when you're in that frenzy. I always looked at the Hulk, and I used to say, why didn't you just stay the Hulk? But but control yourself. Go around it. That's when you see the best of you. That's when you become the hero.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield could channel that daily, figure out how to do that. And maybe you don't even make stuff up in your head, whatever it is. Do whatever you got to do to get to that place where you play.
Does it all have to play out publicly, though?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
You know the thing about why he couldn't stay the Hulk? It's because he wasn't the Hulk. And that's the thing about having that smoke around you and being triggered externally. When you run against competition that is internally motivated, then all of a sudden they can run through your external motivation because it's not mapped onto your reality. We can psych ourselves out all we want. And then why you can't control that fully is because it's not your essence. It's not who you really are. So playing against Ray Lewis made me realize that forget physical talents. Between the ears, he had something that I had never seen before because it came from him. I don't know what his recipe for that fuel, which was what we saw every single Sunday, but it was next level. Baker doesn't play that position. So in that position, you have to teeter between going to a special place, but realizing you're in control of others and decision-making. So I just don't see it as something that's optimal. Yeah, you can go there, here, and there, but we all know the difference between LaVar and Tony, the difference between me and Tony is consistent excellence, controlling
Well, I was
when you
consistently excellent.
Don't get defensive, man.
Come on, man.
for a very short time.
That's
But I
true.
respect that, and that's the difference.
True.
If Baker Mayfield wants to be more and live up to that number one validation, he's going to have to stay up there, not just get up there.
But the reality of that is that you're talking about a Sunday afternoon, right? So when you talk about David Banner versus the Incredible Hulk, why couldn't he be the Hulk all the time? First of all, the Hulk wasn't a bad dude to begin with, right? He was doing good. Hulk was doing good. He just would break stuff and just
got it.
All right. But the reality of it is that energy that you're driving off of, like I always liken it to nitrous in a car, right? When you get into that race and you hit that nitrous, you better be ready to handle that car when you hit it because you got to ride it out until it's done. And most times you'll see a football player, they have to ride it out until that emotional. That's why it's such an emotional drop-off when the game is over. That's why you see so many guys deal with emotional drop-offs when they don't play anymore. Yeah. And the reality that we're talking about right now is Baker Mayfield can take that mentality of turning into the Hulk on Sunday because that doesn't have to be the essence of who he is. I'm not beating up people every day off the field, right? I do it on the field, but what I was required to do on the field is much different than me as a person on every day walking
There's
around.
one quote I want to give you real quick about Michael Jordan. I read his books and stuff. He said you can't turn it on and off like a faucet. And that's what it is. That's what the great ones do. I mean, when I go to bed at night, I was thinking about catching footballs. When I woke up, I'm thinking about how I'm going to get better and how I'm going to crush my opponent this weekend. Baker needs to get to that point. Everybody who plays football needs to get to that point because that's the only way if you want to be up here.
All right. Did the Browns prove yesterday that they're the class of the AFC North? It's really a two-horse race at this point. Them or Baltimore. Did they prove they're superior to the Ravens?
No, not at all. What they showed me is that now we're going to have two dogs in this fight. And before it was the Ravens coming out there the first few weeks, we were like, even though they lost to Kansas City, you're still saying that's the class of it. Now it's a dogfight. Just simple as that. The other two teams, respect to them, but I don't see anything coming out of Cincinnati.
Class is strong.
Yeah.
Class of the North is strong.
They won by 15. Controlled the game.
Are they in the seat now? Are they in the pole position right now? Yes, and by winning against the other team that's competitive in the division. But class is too strong. But I think right now, if you're looking at who may have the path to getting the North, coming out of the North, I would have to say it's Cleveland.
I like Cleveland a lot. I think they proved a lot to me yesterday because I thought the Baltimore Ravens were going to win this game and win it well because of what happened to them last week. You thought they would have something inside them. They're going to come out there and compete. But this is the team I thought the Cleveland Browns could be all year. I was like, man, if Baker can pick up where he left off last year with all those stars they got on defense, offense, they could go out there and run through some people. They could make the playoffs and maybe even make a serious run. Who knows? AFC championship type team. But it didn't show that those first three games. But yesterday, if they can sustain that, and specifically old Mr. Mayfield, then, yeah, I think for sure.
I think talent-wise, they're better than the Ravens. I think they showed yesterday they can be just as physical as the Ravens. Nick Chubb and the running game got going, and they were dominant. The thing I worry about is the emotional stability of this team. Odell Beckham Jr. wasn't a big part of the offense yesterday. That's going to be interesting how that plays out next week. Freddie Kitchens, I'm still got some concerns about. Baker, obviously, as we're talking, I still got some concerns about. And that Baltimore side of the fence with John Harbaugh, a lot of experience there. I do think they have a set identity in Baltimore that will be a bit more consistent. I'm not sure. Cleveland showed me talent-wise, yeah, those receivers, tight end, Baker Mayfield, Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett on the outside rushing the passer, but I'm not sure mentally if they can compete with Baltimore on a week-to-week basis.
We've all been there when you've had that hollow smile after a game where you're like smiling for the cameras at the podium, even when you go out that night for wings, beers, and other things, you're smiling. But inside you're like, this isn't reliable. What we just did is not something we can apply consistently. And I'm looking at what Nick Chubb did. And we talk about 165 rush yards. Okay, great. Are we expecting that all the time? Probably not. Certainly not 3 touchdowns. Cleveland Browns haven't seen that in 9+ years, 3 touchdowns. So now if you're Baker Mayfield, you throw one pick, you have 1 touchdown, 300+ yards. is that reliable? Odell's not involved. Like, when you start to do this and you have to match the Tetris of it all, they're not fully confident in the way that they went out there and beat the Baltimore Ravens. And that's the issue right here. I don't think that they're thinking that this is the way we could do it. We beat the best team in our division, but how we beat them, I don't know if we can go back to that well.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. And be sure to check out more of the best clips from Speak For Yourself, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.